Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers. Not a particular topic or a subject, just freestyling, just things that's been going on in my mind. And I'm just thinking about how people look and how people approach content. I'm even thinking about that the whole idea of podcasting. I didn't even hear about podcasting until 2014 when Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz came out with their Brilliant Idiots podcast. And then Combat Jack, rest in peace to him, had his podcast. And then a bunch of people had their own podcast. And I believe that fool Tariq Nasheed has his own podcast. And it just became an influx of all these content creators, from the Vermin DJ Academics to Adam 22 No Jumper, and even my brother has a podcast known as Mogul Mind. So shout out to my brother. And I'm thinking to myself, when people do these things, I think people are doing it and in a manner that comes off more unfiltered, and they don't have to worry about the consistent amount of political correctness that goes on, or cultural Marxism, whichever one you want to label and consider it. And it does bring in an authentic discussion, a real conversation to the table, so to speak. So I do respect that. I don't think that something like a podcast has any less value than a talk show, whether it be from Jimmy Kimmel, whether it be from Jimmy Fallon, whether it be from who's the dude who interviewed Dr. Khalid Muhammad and Farrakhan back in the 90s, some old fat white dude. Anyways, for anybody who's grew up in that era, they get the point and they know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I'm looking and I'm observing all these people, and it does bring something that has a lot more merit, and it seems a lot less derivative, because these days we just see people just regurgitating, and they're basically copy and pasting and replicating what other people have done. Like, you look at the rap game, you see these SoundCloud rappers, you hear all these mumble rappers, and whether you would hear a drill rapper, or whether you would hear a trap rapper, or whether you, like, all these individuals who they have no identity. I think, music is always just a reflection of life. That's what it is. You see that people are not being themselves these days, so it's going to speak in the music. It's going to speak in the content. And I think I think the gates are starting to open up. For real. The standards of living have dropped severely. We let people saying do anything from a non-constructive place. That is when it becomes an issue. You hear a lot of these feminists, you hear all these social justice warriors, you hear the alt-rights and neoconservatives, all that bullshit. And then you can even hear dudes like Van Lathan. He has his own podcast. The dude who's on TMZ with that Jew that's on there. Like, you seeing all this BS occur, but at the same time, you do need to have BS in the world. You do need to have people who don't really know what they're talking about, or not bringing anything truly substantial, or they're pretty much just regurgitating a talking point that isn't paramount to whatever situations, whether it be a situation in the so-called black community, or whether it be something that pertains to a world events, worldly or politically impactful event. You know? So I just I'm bringing that up to bring up the fact that, you know, you do. It's good to know that people are starting to acknowledge what social media and these panels bring, which is transparency. Now people, you ain't got no choice but to quote unquote keep it real, because if you don't keep it real, then guess what? You're gonna fall off the map. You see it happen to all these artists, they fall off the map. I've been watching that Dame Dash and Adam 22 No Jumper, the recent one, not the one where you're talking about Colin Kaepernick and Jay-Z, the recent one where he was talking about Jesus is King from Kanye. And I liked a lot of things that Dame was saying about the value of a podcast, and to even not even label it a podcast, but yeah. I wouldn't entertain Adam 22 No Jumper, that little fake high value Travis Barker. He looks like a strung out meth head. I would never entertain a dude like that. But to keep it real, he has brought interesting people onto the show, like Whack 100, when Whack said the things that he said about Nipsey Hussle, to bringing up Dame twice in recent times. And I don't think that you could get much of that out of radio. Like, you listen to the Breakfast Coons, you listen to the Breakfast Club, and you hear how Charlemagne talks, as opposed to how he talks in his Brilliant Idiots podcast and who he brings on there. So I definitely do see merit behind these things. So even if there's somebody that you don't mess with, I don't mess with, the next man or the next woman doesn't mess with, you have to still tip your hat to those individuals who take time out of their day and who could go long durations of having conversations with somebody, and they can keep the conversation flowing. And especially when both of those individuals can resonate with one another, you know? So I tip my hat to my brother for his mogul minds. I tip my hat to Combat Jack when he was alive for his podcast. I guess you could say this is more like me just, giving kudos to the whole idea of podcasts. But yeah, I think we need to just transcend that, because what's going on with YouTube, not digging it. I think there needs to be, I'm saying this because this is like a renaissance. This is like a cybernetic renaissance era. And I think it needs to be showcased within a website now. Not just a podcast, but a website in itself. And that is why I want to think much bigger than just a podcast and being a YouTuber. Like, this could be for me, this is a stepping stone, obviously, but not treating it like the end all be all though. F that. Kill that noise. And the beauty of social media is it brings people together within unison. And you could assemble your own crew, your own guild, your own posse, And I encourage anybody out there to do that, as I'm doing that myself. I came across a lot of dope people. You've heard me mention these individuals multiple times. I don't even need to say their names. And I'm thankful that I've learned things from every last one of them. I've learned things. See, I've acquired better friendships with people inside of the cybernetic realm more than outside in the personal, real world, quote unquote. Because a lot of people here in Chicago, I don't really resonate well with, A lot of people I didn't get to come across, and we didn't really click like that. I've met a handful of people, obviously, but point I'm making is Use these platforms to your advantage. It's not, there's no inherent good or evils in it. Social media. It's just about how you use it. It's the mind frame, it's the mindset that you have. So, with me saying that, I'm gonna leave it there. Nothing else to speak about. I'm just gonna continue finishing this whole Adam 22 no jumper Dame Dash, because I like to watch these individuals for analytical purposes. It doesn't matter who it is. I've done it with Vlad. I've done it with Tommy Sotomayor. I've done it with DJ Academics. And currently, I've been doing it with Adam 22. I've done it with Yvette Carnell. I've done it with Tariq. I've done it with Umar. I've done it with Pat Condell. I've done it with so many individuals, I've lost count. Because you can learn something from individuals that you can learn best from people that you don't agree with, as opposed to someone you do agree with. Because it's just like hearing yourself, but you only can learn so much from yourself. I mean, because you can grow and develop, and you can learn things within your own personal experience. But what better way than somebody that you don't agree with, or you don't know personally, and what they go through, and then they can, expound on their own personal experiences, and they can share that. It's the whole idea of social media, man. Is networking, exchanging ideas, and moving forward. So I'm gonna say that for now. Peace out. One love, people.